Thank you for joining us on the channel today. We are here to discuss some day dates with you. We have a special topic here, which is stone dials, and we have a very, very rare opportunity today to present you with 3 coral dial day dates, of which I believe 2 are among the rarest day dates ever. So let's talk a little bit about stone dials. There's the early generations of stone dials on day dates. For simplicity reasons, we're not going to mention any date justs here because some dials and the dial variants, dial finishes are different from those. So we're going to start speaking about the day dates approximately from the 5 million serial number 1978 starting and on. So day dates have come with wood dials, stella dials, and the stone dial category is one which I feel is very exotic. Rolex has really not left a stone unturned to experiment with materials for their dials. And sometimes we look at the watch and we say, how did Rolex get the idea to use this stone? And it's genius because it looks awesome. So we have here a trilogy, I would say, of day dates with the coral dial. The coral dial is, I believe, the rarest, among the rarest, if not the rarest, stone dial that Rolex has ever used. It's a very fragile material, and it's also considered as a natural species. I think that's why they don't do it anymore, which means import-export shipping across borders used to be a problem. I think that's why they stopped. Another reason why we don't find many of these today is, first of all, I think that there's very few made. Yeah, because in the production process, as I heard, there were multiple dials that were destroyed just by finishing, slicing, cutting the dial to that thin layer that is then installed on a Rolex base plate to be the dial. Now, the dials have a characteristic that they're orange. The coral is orange. If we go deep, there's other tones as well, but they have only used corals in orange hues. Whereas you can understand that the dial is made from a natural material. So I would say 99% of all coral dials are different. That makes almost each one unique. The first time that a coral dial was installed, I believe, on a day date was in the late 70s, 1978, at the introduction of the sapphire crystal day date, which is like the 180 series, 18038, 18028 with the smooth bezel. And what we find out over time is also that these dials were installed on multiple references, which means that if we have an 18238 here, this dial could have been installed on multiple different references with different bracelets, different case finishings, case with diamonds, bezel with diamonds, smooth bezel with the square diamonds, 18108, so for instance. So there's a multitude of references these were made. So the dials at 6 o'clock have a designation which tells us something about the period. So the early ones were marked T Swiss T, as we would expect a dial from that era, late 70s, very early 80s, or 80s through, to be signed T Swiss T. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, why T Swiss T? T stands for tritium, but the fact is that Rolex had printed these dials period correct to mention that it's in this period, to kind of specify that's in this period, even if there's no looms on the dial or on the hands. As we know, the hands on these stone dial day dates are solid hands without any tritium luminous. So that's the first generation, T Swiss T. I think they carried it, pretty sure, until the late 80s, when this changed to the Swiss designation. The Swiss designation was I think, for the most of the 90s, that was the designation. And another thing to mention here is the hardware on the dial, which is the day window and the date window. On the T Swiss T dials and on the Swiss dials is very sharp, edgy, very well defined, whereas the later We're going to speak about it a little bit later. The Swiss-made dials, which is the last generation, I believe, in the very late 90s and very, very short. A lot of service dials also have Swiss-made designation. The hardware around the date and the day are very, very roundish. I believe that was also a transition into the new references for dates in the P series in year 2000, where the entire case had not brushed but polished and rounded lugs. The case looks very different, in my opinion, not that nice as like the older sharp edged cases, but that's a matter of taste. So this is on the hardware of the dial itself. Now, another thing is some of these dials, in general, stone dials, we're going to go away a little bit from this from the coral dial. The regular coral dial has not been made with diamond setting. That means the OG, if we look at the OG, I call them the OG stone dials, which is the early ones coming in the first generations, where there are actually some of them which are T-Swiss T-marked, called lapis, onyx, malachite, tiger eye, let me see, don't want to forget anything, green jasper, bloodstone, coral, and opal. Okay, opal, I'll mention it here because apparently it exists. I've never seen one. I've seen one at an auction, but there was a doubt of its authenticity. So apparently it exists. I haven't seen one. These are the original stone dials that never had, in those time, any diamond settings and did not come with Roman numerals. This happened in the later stage where some stone dials like the Aventurine, the Cachalon, Rubellite, Grossular, Ferrite, and we have the Howlite, which is also called marble. Some of these had Roman numerals. They did not come with those like as a plain dial like the original dials, but only had Roman numerals, pretty bold Roman numerals. They don't look that nice as the ones which are plain. And there's one type which has square diamonds, which are also framed with the metal that the watch is coming from in. And there is the third version, which is the 6 and 9 diamonds. Sometimes you see them at the stomach of the 6, you see a diamond. The stomach of the 9, you see a diamond. Those, I believe, are the later. I would say these are the later stone dials. Now, let's get quickly back to these watches. We have here a yellow gold example, 18238, which I believe is a very rare watch, especially to find in a good condition. These dials are, I would say, to be either purchased by somebody you really, really, really trust, and you trust that has expertise. If you only trust him and he doesn't know anything, it doesn't make sense. So you have to buy it from a trustable source with expertise on these dials, as there's a lot of fakes out there. There's a lot of dials that are damaged. They have hairlines, they have chips, cracks, and whatsoever. That affects big time the value and of course also the desirability. If you see them online, sometimes it's very deceiving. You see, oh, there's a coral dial going for $100,000. That's very cheap. Oh my God, that's the new price. Then they walk around with that number in the head that they try to find one for that price. But in truth, I mean, everything can happen. The auction can tag, but usually collectors will follow the auctions that offer these kind of watches and of course try to bid and buy these watches. But often these dials are damaged and you can't really see in the pictures. Sometimes the auction houses have not done their work properly to examine and write the condition reports that there is a damage. So it's very deceiving. A lot of people walk around with wrong numbers in their head, and we see that people come to us to say, oh, there was a watch sold for 50,000 on, I think it was on Loop This, a coral dial dated, and it was almost like a marble dial. It was so full of cracks. So be careful, guys. I think there's a lot of watches that you can enjoy even if the dial have a little bit of wear. You know, there's a Stella dial, there's like a small scratch on it, or a regular dial that has a little bit of fading or peeling or whatever. But on stone dials, I would not go and make the compromise of buying a dial that has a major hairline, because that could develop to a bigger crack in the future. We don't want to that to happen, especially when you put the watch, if it's not running well, you put it on a watchmaker's desk to open it up. There's always a risk of taking the dial off, installing the dial back. So some people say, okay, I'll live with that. You know, I take that risk if the watch is cheap. So for everyone has their own preferences, so that's fine. I'm saying that the seasoned collector would probably want to buy a dial that doesn't have any damage, any major, especially visible crack on it. Now, let's take this marvel in hand. This is absolutely a crazy watch. We had one like this before. This is the 18239 in white gold, also with the coral dial, correct hands, correct Swiss designation. The watch is from 1993, 94, I think it's a W series, 94, 95. So this is all correct with the double quickset movement. This was also done in platinum in all different generations. We have the Pucci book here, the Coral Sunset. This is an early example, 18026. And in the book, it's displayed with a Swiss dial. I believe that's not so true. This dial should have a T-Swiss T designation, but hey, these are very, very rare watches. Sometimes the publisher will hunt collectors to borrow their watches or to photograph their watches, and maybe they didn't find the correct T-Swiss T dial to be published in this book in the right reference. So that's why we have a Swiss dial here. They're extremely rare. They're extremely rare. What should I do? You want to display a pristine example, you're really gonna dig deep and wait and have the money in the pocket and wait to spend that money to find the right watch. Luckily, I'm really, really happy that these dials we have in front of us are all flawless. We had information from Rolex on this 18239, the white gold example, that it is actually, there was a Rolex CPO program, and this watch is actually in the CPO program mentioned as born with this very coral dial. So that's like something well, I haven't seen before on these, of something very, very rare. And I think the real collectors will value this fact that the dial was born in the watch itself. It has a German calendar. They came in all world languages. We have them. The other one is in English. In white gold, the disc is white. Absolute fantastic watch. I'm happy we have these colored boxes. Super cool. Yeah, so this is the coral dial. Now, we can go a step beyond, like, oh, this is already, I would say, among the top rarest stone dial dates on the planet. But I think we can top that. We have an example here. It is from the Rolex Crown Collection. The Crown Collection was a catalog in the 90s. I think there was in the 80s as well. In the 90s, it was like an off-catalog that was only presented to VIP clients of Rolex, and that had pieces there that was not available on the shelf. It was not available by everyone. So this is the crazy watch. It is probably, I would call this the craziest, rarest stone dial date on the planet. We're speaking about a reference 18348, double quickset movement and diamond bezel with a pyramid coral dial. What does it mean? We're going to show a picture inside our video clip in now. So the dial itself, the surface of the dial is finished in a way that I have no idea how they've done it. I have no clue how this could happen. That the dial is finished with small pyramids on the dial all over, of which every one has, in the light, it shows like small facets. It has a beautiful play in the light. Every single one is in the same size, same alignment. How did they do it? I have no idea. The stone is so thin. You know, the coral is so thin. How would you put such a surface texture, a pattern, not the texture, the pattern on the dial? That's incredible. And another thing is, this dial has pinball diamonds. That means there were like 10 holes drilled into the dial with, I don't know what kind of precision there must have been, whatever he smoked. I want some of that too. The pinballs are set in the dial on a dial that has already a finished surface. It's crazy. It's absolute crazy. To our knowledge, this dial has only appeared like less than a handful times on the market. This is one of them. It comes even with the diamond Centerlink bracelet, which I think is just like the last thing that made this watch absolute crazy. Super glamorous watch. I'm gonna put it on. I wear this watch sometimes on very, very special occasions. It's just crazy. It's just crazy how they've built it. So you have the diamond Centerlink bracelet, and one more thing. Equally interesting to this one, having a record from Rolex that was made with the, it's recorded as the dial being born in this. This one even mentions the dial on the original certificate. So we have this original certificate from the States, and it says Coral Certi dial. We're going to show it here in the camera. It's marvel. It's just like absolute crazy watch to have been produced. It's very, very beautiful. It's very beautiful. The coral dial is one of my favorite stones. To have it here in one room at the same time, in the yellow gold, in the correct white gold, and in the pyramid dial configuration, in the best pyramid dial configuration with the diamond Centerlink bracelet. The watch has hardly been worn here, hardly any stretch. Green sticker is present. The case and bracelet have nicely patinaed over age. I believe that's from not being worn. Dial is flawless, no scratch, nothing on it. Absolute fantastic, and it's crazy that it comes with the dial mentioned on the papers. Guys, I hope that you liked what you saw. It's really a crazy photo, crazy opportunity for us to share these three watches at the same time with you. Just to have them here on the same table is crazy. We like to have more videos coming to you. Please like and subscribe to the channel and share the video with your friends. Thank you.